The Coonhound Collective podcast is brought to you by CZ Welding and Custom Dog Boxes. Dog boxes built by hunters for hunters. Check these guys out today. This is your host, Jason Snellgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective podcast. Welcome to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. Today I am joined by Mr. Jarrod Washburn. His picture you might have seen on the Nite Lite magazine that comes out that you can order your coon hunting supplies from. Jarrod, how's it going today?
I'm doing good, Jason. How about you?
Oh man, pretty good. It's deer season in Missouri. I've seen a deer, but I haven't got one yet, and I'm going to go when me and you get done here and hopefully get one killed before this front moves in. And I'm really anxious to get back to coon hunting, more so than deer hunting, as soon as we can get some of these days of deer season behind us.
Deer season started this weekend in Arkansas, and the Orange Army took over. They're everywhere down here, deer hunters, but it's a good time of the year. It's finally cool down here, so deer hunters have the weather they like, and us coon hunters like this cooler weather too.
Yeah, and you know, it ain't that I think coon hunting has anything to do with messing with deer activity or moving, but some of my landowners that allow me to hunt on them, they don't say that they don't want me in there, but you know, out of respect for them, we only get 10 days in Missouri to gun hunt, so I try to kind of take a step back during that time, and soon as it's over though, I'll be back wide open.
Absolutely. Same down here with a lot of places.
Well, Jarrod, why don't we start off by just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
Okay. I'm 43 years old. I live here in Sheridan, Arkansas. It's about 30 minutes south of Little Rock. I wasn't born here. My dad was an aerospace engineer, and we started out in California and moved to Washington State, and he got transferred here in 1992. So I've been in Arkansas since 1992, and I love it down here.
Yeah, that's pretty country down there. I recently took a trip to Alabama and went down through Searcy and then kind of down south of the interstate there and kind of cut across to Greenwood, Mississippi, and that's definitely some pretty country in that area where I was at there.
Oh, it sure is. You wasn't too far from me then, going that way.
Yeah,
Real pretty.
I went through that way and stopped there in Greenwood to interview Mr. Eddie Muse that used to own Set 'em Up Ace back in the day.
Yeah.
So, well, tell us what do you do for a living there?
Okay. Well, me and my wife own a flooring company, and we do all types of click lock flooring. We've been in business together for about 5 years now, and it's a good fit. We don't have any employees, just me and her, and we stay busy, and we've been blessed with the business.
Yeah, and we talked before, we hit record here, and I'm self-employed as well, and there's days where you have to get out there and get after it, boy, but when you got a dog you're trying to push and you can get some jobs finished up, it sure is nice not to have to get up to go to a 9 to 5.
Well, owning your own business has its perks. Like this week, the north unit of the White River Refuge opens, and I didn't schedule anything for the rest of this week, so I'm getting ready for that. And I'll be off for a couple weeks for the south unit, and that's the type of stuff you can't do when you work for somebody. So owning your own business has its perks when you're a coon hunter.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. The White River Refuge is on my list of to-dos. I have not been there and hunted. I've heard Steve Fielder talk about it. I've heard some other guys talk about it, about the coon hunting there and how great it is. And last year we were going to try to make it like a family trip with it and come down and camp and hunt, and it just did not work out with my work schedule last year. It was a little warmer, longer, so we had some things going on longer, and I couldn't get freed up. And then this year, I kind of started a new branch of my business and bought some equipment, and we're kind of running at both ends right now, so it's not going to work out this year. But that is definitely on my to-do list as far as coon hunting is to go there and hunt, because I've heard a lot of good things about it.
It's kind of like my Disneyland. It's one I look forward to 3 things a year. I look forward to the Arkansas State Youth Hunt, English Days, and the Refuge. And it's everything you've heard about. I could tell you that much, Jason. I've hunted Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and I still like the big woods of the Refuge down here. It will spoil you in a hurry.
Yeah, I bet. You mentioned English Days there. I didn't hunt this year, but I did go to English Days this year for one of the days to meet Nathan Kaufman up there and pick up my dog box. And that really seems like a good event. I lived in Illinois for about a year, and I know what kind of hunting they got over there, and I'm excited. I have a pretty decent young dog that I'm hunting right now. If I can get a few things worked out with him, I'm excited to be able to take him and hunt him up there next year in it.
It's always a good time. I just like the fellowship and the association puts on a good hunt. And matter of fact, last year the Thursday night hunt, I hunted with Nathan. He was in my cast, and the year before that, I actually hunted with him in 2021 with Nathan. Good guy.
Yeah, hey, I can't say enough about Nathan. He makes this podcast possible. If you're listening, you need a good dog box, go over, check out CZ Welding and Fabrication on Facebook. You can look him up there, give Nathan a call, get a hold of me. I can put you in contact with him. He can fix you up any kind of dog box. I'm telling you, super guy. He drove all night to come to the Shriners benefit hunt here in Missouri to deliver dog boxes that he built for them to give away for the night hunt winner and the bench show winner, both received a dog box. Awesome guy. He delivered them out here himself. So I can't say enough about the guy. Just like I said, if you need a dog box, tell him you heard Jason talking about him, and he'll fix you up with a good deal on a dog box. And before we get into how you got into coon hunting, and we kind of talked about this before we hit record, you mentioned some stuff with the English Breed Association, and we've talked about English Days, and I think it'll fit right here. Why don't you go ahead and kind of go into a little detail about what the English Association's got going on this year? Hey guys, this is Jason over at the Coonhound Collective podcast. Is your dog box starting to get wore? Maybe it's starting to get a little cracked like mine is. Maybe you've just been thinking about it's time to upgrade to a new box, but you've asked your buddies and you're just not real sure what direction to go in. Well, let me help you out here. Go check my friends out at CZ Welding and Fabrication, custom dog boxes and aluminum products on Facebook. You can check out all their custom work they do there and their designs that they do. If you don't see something that you don't exactly like there, reach out to Nathan at 540-810-5439, 540-810-5439, or send him a message through the Facebook page. I bet he can fix you up. Don't wait till fall to get that new dog box. Go ahead, get that dog box now. Get you something looking good in the back of your truck that you can be proud of and that you can haul your dog around in comfort. Check my friends out at CZ Welding and Fabrication. You won't go wrong. Dog boxes built by hunters for hunters. Get yours today. CZ Welding and Fabrication.
Okay. Well, they've started this year. They started this new program. It's over the course of 5 hunts. It's called the 5-Star Outstanding English Coonhound Race Program. And if your dog wins at the Grand American, the Winter Classic, English Days, Automox, or the World Championship, you get points. And at the end of the season, whoever has the most points for at those hunts will win $1,000, sponsored by the United English and Breeders and Fanciers Association. Another thing that they do, and first off, I just want to say, support your associations. They do a lot for the hunters, and the way that they do that is through people joining the memberships and then doing parts for the raffles. The English Association every month has a raffle. They've done dog Garmin collars. They've done lights and boots every month. Of course, I've never won one because I have pretty bad luck, but every month I'll buy a spot or two, and it's just a good way to help the association. The money for that goes towards the invitational hunt winner, and those prize packages keep getting better and better. And that's because of the hard work the association members do, and from the actual members donating their money to these raffles and these programs. So just wanted to throw that out there, and there'll be more information coming out about those. But I love our association. I've dealt with the people in the Black and Tan Association because Mr. Herron's from down here in Arkansas, and they do a good job with the Black and Tan Association. And it's just, I think it's important as hunters to support your associations, support your state associations. It just, without us, the hunters supporting those associations, they can't do as much for us, the hunters. So I think it's important, but that's what's going on with the English Association. I'm real proud of the steps they've made and they're doing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I'm a member of the English Association, and I'm a member of the Black and Tan Association, and I'm a member of the Missouri Coon Hunters Association here, and it's not only important to support those associations, but it's also important to support your local club to show up at those hunts and be there at those hunts to help that club stay alive and going, because we all know, especially where we live now. I had Mr. Greg Cover on a few episodes ago, and he has to travel quite a ways to go to a competition hunt. But I know for me, and Jarrod, it may not be this way for you, but I know for me that I can pretty much go to a hunt every week at least, most weeks multiple times a week if I wanted to. And I think sometimes with that many hunts, we can be like, well, I don't need to go over to my local club. I just went to that one, an hour down the road or whatever. But your local club, I can't stress this enough, and I talk about this before. Make sure you're supporting your local club that you're a member of, and being out there and being a part of that that's close by. Because I know a lot of people get caught up in the traveling and running races and stuff like that, and all that's important. But it's also important to be a part of that local club and these breed associations and any others. In my opinion, any other association you can be a part of that has to do with hound hunting.
You're absolutely right, Jason. We've got a club here in my town. We do UKC and PKC hunts. We also do club hunts. And I used to have about 8 clubs I could be at within an hour of my house, and now there's only 2. And so I like to support the ones that are close. It takes me, on average, I'm driving an hour and a half to a club, normally to a hunt. But we go, and there's times where I don't really want to go, but we go just to support the club. And if they're doing a special type of benefit hunt or anything like that, we'll go and support them. And because you're absolutely right. You got to support them, and that's what we do down here.
Well, and we had a 2-night UKC hunt, our last one of the year. It was, I think, the last day of September and the first day of October. And our vice president and our secretary, man, my hat's off to those guys. They beat the bush. We had a meal, $5 a plate. They got the community involved. We had people show up that don't even coon hunt, just to eat. And man, that's a coon club can be an important part of the community out there, and that's why it's important to get out and support these guys.
It sure is. Our local club here, we did 3 benefit hunts, but we took the money from the entries for our club hunts, and we had 3 benefits. We had a fellow that got hurt in an accident at work, and we got him some money. We had another young fellow that had cancer, and they was making a lot of trips to out-of-state doctors, so we got them several $100s raised up. And we had another young man that hunts in our club get in an accident, and we had a benefit hunt for him. And we had people show up and just donate money and leave. They didn't even hunt, but they came together, and it's just a tight-knit community, coon hunters. We really, come together and look out for people, and I think it's a really awesome thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I've said that even about the Shriners hunt that we were blessed enough to be a part of, and Nathan was able to provide some prizes, and even if you think it's not a lot of money to those people, it is. It means a lot to those. So that's definitely an important part of our sport.
Yes, sir.
But before we completely get off track here, won't you tell us kind of how you got into coon hunting?
Okay. Well, I didn't grow up in a hunting family, but when we moved to Arkansas, you quickly become one. I play music, and I was in 8th grade, and I joined a band, and the drummer and the singer, invited me to come over to go deer hunting. And I said, okay. Well, I get there and come to find out their younger brother is a coon hunter and said, we're going coon hunting. I'm like, what in the world is that? And they told me, I was like, well, it sounds like fun. Let's go. And we went, and my buddy had she was a half red bone, half lab, looked like a plot dog, but she sure could tree some coons. And we went that night, and I got wet and cold, and I think we killed 5 coons, and I had a blast, and I was hooked. It didn't take no time for me to get hooked on the tree dog. So I wasn't even old enough to drive, so my buddy Preston would come get me, and we'd go coon hunting. And I guess I might have been in 10th grade, 9th or 10th grade, and I guarantee you we hunted 5 nights a week until, well, I never quit, but we hunted that little black dog all winter, all summer. We just had us a blast, and I got to where I wanted my own dog like everybody does. And I didn't really know, since I didn't have an older person to teach me at the time, the difference between a coon dog and a hound dog. And I ended up with just a bunch of hound dogs. They were good at digging out, jumping fences, but they weren't very good at treeing coons or doing anything really. I went through probably 5 or 6 dogs before I got one that actually barked in the woods. And I don't know what it barked at, but it would bark. And finally I decided I needed to buy me an actual coon dog. Well, my dad at the time was working with somebody at his factory, and they had a litter of red tick puppies. And he said, I'm going to buy you a puppy, and you can train one yourself, son. So he got me a puppy, and I named him Ranger. And he was at a hard time rage and a local female, and a big, pretty red tick dog. And I had high hopes and dreams of him, And, looking back on it, I didn't have no business trying to train a puppy. But he ended up being an okay dog. He'd run anything that laid a track, and I was proud of him. I wanted to take him everywhere I went coon hunting, and I want to own him today. But and then my other buddy had a half sister to him. She is 4 years old. Her name was Sue, and she would tree coons. I guess you call her just a country coon dog. It might take her all night to tree one. She might could tree 5, but she would tree coons. Not very good tree dog. Just for a kid, she was fun. I thought the world of her too, and so I bought her. I paid $300 for her. I kept her till she died. I kept her for 6 years. She's not no measuring stick or nothing, but she was my actual first dog that I could say that with tree coons that I owned. And she's the only one of 3 dogs that I've ever owned that I kept till they died at my place. I thought a lot of her. And that's how I kind of got started, just coon hunting in general. And I was looking through my coonhound bloodlines, and I saw an ad for the Arkansas State Youth Coon Hunt Championship. And I want to say this was 1996. And I didn't know anything about competition coon hunting. I read about it in the bloodlines or the cooner, but I'd never been to one. I didn't know anybody that had been to one. So I talked my buddy into driving me up there, and I took Sue, and I didn't win, but that hunt changed the trajectory of my coon hunting career, because that's where I met Clifton Crosby. He was the president of the state association then, and he just happened to live in Sheridan where I lived, and we got to talking, and told me to come for a hunt, and so I did. And that first night I hunted with him, we treed 7 coons and walked my guts out. They hunted walker dogs, and my dog, maybe she's a 200 or 300 yard dog, and these dogs were split treeing. They was going all over the place. And from that point on, I realized I needed to get a better dog if I wanted a competition coon hunt. But I think the most important thing that happened there was me and Cliff became really good friends, and he became a mentor. My dad died when I was 16, and Cliff kind of stepped in as a mentor role, and he, he's a good guy. He'd always been there for me through my ups and downs. But he taught me how to, hunt a good dog. And I don't know, the lessons I learned from him are invaluable. I got a lot to owe to him, but he took me to the Pine Bluff Coon Club, where he kind of put me to work. I was working in the kitchen, and at this time I'm still 17. I might have been 18, but I think I was 17. And this is back when you'd have 40 dogs at a hunt. So, and then was hunting in the hunts, but I wasn't hunting a dog that could win in the hunts. But you know, he'd have me working in the kitchen, taking entries, and I just a good friendship was formed, and a love for competition coon hunting was formed. Just being around the hunters and you know, back then it was like I said, a night hunt was kind of a big deal, and it was awesome to be around them. Being a young guy and being around hearing the stories, and you'd even have people show up that I recognized from the magazines, and you know, I'll just be honest. Sometimes I was starstruck. You know, I remember one time Warren Hauser showed up. The guy had the Smoky River Blue Dogs, and one time David Westbrook showed up. He had the Capital City Go Annie dog that won the '95 World Show. And he showed up, and you know, I showed against him. I got beat, but I showed against him as a young guy. That was pretty cool. And so that's kind of how I got my start coon hunting and got introduced into competition coon hunting. I hunted, I bet I was in 50 or 60 casts before I actually won a hunt. It was an ACHA World Qualifying hunt. And I can't remember if you hunted 2 hours or 3 hours back then, but we went and we hunted, and it wasn't going too good for me. And we did tree a coon, and the other dogs messed around and took some minus, and I ended up winning. I didn't even know I'd won the cast because I was so used to losing. But when I won, I got my picture took. Back then, you had to take your picture on a Polaroid and put it on a certificate to go to the world hunt. And I remember I was just so tickled that I won. And that was my first actual competition win. But that's how I got started, Jason.
You said take your picture on a Polaroid. I'm quite sure there's probably some listeners out there that have no idea what you just said. Because now you just take them with your phone.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't like that. And I also remember trying to I would see these pictures of these dogs in the magazine that were treeing, how cool the pictures looked. And I bet you I took 1,000 pictures and never got a good, decent dog picture, because back then you'd have to take the picture, get them developed, and see what you got. Well, I never got anything good. So taking a picture of a dog treeing these days is a lot easier than it was back then.
Oh man, I couldn't even. I mean, I used to keep a disposable camera with me, and I'd take some pictures of my dogs around the house or whatever. And I've tried to take back in the day. I tried to take some at night. I had old wheat light that you put you know the acid in the front of it or whatever, and that's what I had, and it wasn't bright enough to make a good enough picture for me. So I have no idea how those guys got those pictures. They had to hire somebody professional or something.
They had to do something other than what I was doing, because I never could get it done.
Yeah. So you, of course, being a member of the association, the English Association, we know you hunt English dogs, but you mentioned your mentor there, he was hunting Walker dogs. What kept you from going over to hunting Walker dogs full time?
Well, I kind of did. So, I had Sue, which she was my I loved her, but she wasn't a great coon dog. So I seen what Cliff and all them guys were hunting. So I actually bought. Cliff made a cross on Sackett Junior, and every dog of that litter turned out was a Grand Nite and a good coon dog. Well, I didn't buy one because at the time I didn't want a Walker dog. Well, he bred Cindy to a dog he had named Outback Jammer, and I decided I was going to get one, so I bought one of them pups and started hunting it. And not very long after I bought it, Cliff ended up selling me Jammer. He was a Grand Nite dog. He placed in the top 20 of the world hunt, I believe, in '95. Top 10 at the Lee Crawford Invitational hunt. He was a nice hound. So I hunted him for a while, and I still had Sue, which was an English dog. I bought a Night Champion Walker dog and hunted her for a while. Had a nice young dog off a Neosho River Razor. So I have had Walker dogs. I'm not blind at that time. I wanted to treat coons and be able to compete, and with them dogs I was able to. But my friend James Wadley, he won one of the Pro Sport truck hunts with Ralph a few months ago. He called me one day and said, "Hey, I know where an English dog is that you could win with." And I'm like, I think I might have been 18 or 19. I was like, "James, I ain't got just a whole lot of money." He goes, "Well, Buddy will work with you." Oh, I said, "Oh, Buddy has it. Buddy Gilbert. he's kind of legend in our sports, owned a couple world champions. He had a dog named Gilbert Screaming Speck, which was an English dog that was always up in the state race. And I had a son off of him. His name was Knock 'em Out Louie. So I called Buddy and we worked out a deal and I got him. And that's the first dog that I can honestly say was my competition dog. Louie did a lot of winning. He's pretty consistent. And from then on, I was pretty much just stuck on English dogs, to be honest with you. And I think that's because that my dad bought me the English dog puppy, and it just it was a bond that me and my dad had. And my dad died before that dog ever got took to the woods, and I've just liked the English dog since then. But I had Louie and I had 3 or 4 other dogs at the time, but Louie was my main dog. And I guess this would have been in maybe 2001, about early 2001, 2002 time frame. And so we went to doing some winning with Louie, got him qualified for the world. And I had a younger fella, his name was Justin Davis. He was 16 years old. Him and Louie were a good team. Justin did a lot of the winning with Louie. And they just had a good time. And I was young, and this is kind of when my story unfortunately takes kind of a sad turn. I made some bad life decisions, and I kind of fell off. And Will Jason, to be honest with you, I got hooked on meth. And it didn't take very long. It took a hold of me. I was trying to hunt, but you don't do much other than give into your drug addiction when you get addicted to drugs. And so I ended up selling, sold all my dogs, and I ended up getting busted cooking meth in 2004. And I went to prison for 5.5 years. When I got to prison, you could do bad or do good in prison. And I decided I was going to do good. So when I got there, I ended up getting me a good job inside prison, got me a 1A classification, had probably one of the best jobs in the state as far as prisoners go. I was working at the state police headquarters. I got to come home on furloughs. I took a lot of classes. I don't know. It was bad, but I learned from my mistake. I came out with a lot better head on my shoulders. So as bad as I hated that I got hooked on drugs, I was able to make good use of my time and get back out. Matter of fact, before I actually got out, I had a subscription to the Coonhound magazine, and bought me a belt light, and bought me some Vans waders, and I had them shipped to the house. And they were here my first day out of prison. I went back to coon hunting, and that's what I've been doing ever since that unfortunate part of my story.
You hit on some things there, and you're definitely opening yourself up to be very vulnerable here to talk about what happened in your life, and I appreciate you doing that. But one of the things that you touched on there was you got in trouble. You didn't make any excuses for it was this or that or whatever. You got in trouble. Realize the woes of what's going on. Put yourself in a good situation. Sound like you worked hard to stay away from trouble when you were locked up, and somewhere along that way in prison, you obviously made your mind up. Whenever you get out of there, you're not going back that direction. It sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's right. And when I got back out, of course, I've been gone for half a decade, so things have changed. I surrounded myself with good people, mainly coon hunters, to be honest with you, and just went back to coon hunting. And that was I think when I started back coon hunting after that, Jason, I think and I had a passion for it before. I think it was even greater the second time I go around, because it was like therapy. That was my new release, and that's when I started hunting with my buddy Preston, the one that actually started me hunting on my very first coon hunt. He had started hunting red bones, and he had some good ones, and he wanted me to handle them in the hunts, and I did, and I had a lot of success there. And to be honest with you, if I wasn't hunting English dogs, I think I'd be hunting red bones because I had a lot of fun hunting the red bones, and I went to a lot of their red bone days, and just a good group of people. And he had a dog named Fireball's Hacksaw Jack. And if I could pick three of my favorite dogs, Jack would be in the running. He'd be in the three. He was a get strut, get tree type dog, ball mouth, chop on the tree, and he had his coons. And Preston actually went and bought him from Joe Melton, the guy that started the Fireball line. And Joe told Preston when he bought him he's something special, and he was. I let him ride in the front seat of the truck with me. When we'd stay at the refuge, he'd stay in the camper with me. And he just wasn't a coon dog. That dog was my friend. And Preston's got some semen stored on him, and whenever he uses it, I'm gonna get me a pup, and I'm gonna have one. So
Yeah, and I think it's pretty cool that the guy that got you started in the coon hunting years ago, whenever you were what most people would say at the low point of your life, was there to be a friend and help you get a dog to get you in the woods. And I've heard story after story after story how coon hunting saved my life, coon hunting changed my life, coon hunting kept me out of trouble, and that don't sound any different than here. And we talked before we hit recording of some recovery stuff that you do some speaking at. Won't you go ahead and let's talk about that, and then we'll go back and finish with these hounds.
okay, absolutely. Like I said earlier, I like to talk God and recovery just as much as I like to talk dogs. So about 6 years ago, I got involved with a program called Celebrate Recovery. It's a Christ-centered 12-step recovery program. It's ran through your local churches, and I went reluctantly because at that point my relationship with Christ wasn't just real strong. I felt guilt, I felt shame. How could I be loved? But I was met at the door with open arms, love and acceptance from the ministry leaders, the people going, and I that after that first meeting I was blown away. I was ready for the next week to roll around so I could go back. But Celebrate Recovery is for people with life's hurts, habits, and hangups. It's not just about addiction. It's about everything. Because we know that our higher power, Jesus Christ, could heal us to deliver us from anything that we got going on. And I fell in love with the program, the people. So I've been going, for 6 years now. I'm a small group leader at the one I currently go to. I have been a ministry leader at a different one, and it's for everybody and all things. And through that program, I thought I was working on just the shame and guilt of my addiction. I realized I had a lot of other things that were wrong with me, and turn them over to God's recovery. And man, I've been every time I go, I feel blessed, and that's why I continue to go. Uh, I'm a sponsor of over half a dozen men. I look forward to talking to them at the group every week. When they call, I like talking to them. Whenever I look at my phone, it's one of my sponsees calling me. I'm excited because they call me with their not just their downside, but their praise reports. And it's really awesome to see what God can do through somebody that's willing to turn it over to God. Program's been a blessing. I know that there's 34,000 Celebrate Recoveries worldwide. We're in over 12 countries. And if you go on the internet, you could find a CR locator. And, if you know somebody that needs a recovery meeting, go with them. Take them, they serve a meal at most of them. And then they have a large group format where we'll do worship, a testimony or a lesson. And then we break into small open share groups where it's just men with men, women with women. And that's really where the real healing begins. When you could hear somebody's testimony or hear about what they're going through, and they're like, hey, I've went through that. You could grow, accountability that way. And that's it's been a saving grace for me, Jason. I get therapy in the woods, but I get recovery at church, and it's been a blessing to me. I could highly suggest it to anybody that's going through a life hurt or hang up to go to Celebrate Recovery. You will definitely not be disappointed.
Yeah, and you mentioned there that your dad died when you were younger, and you had a mentor step in. But one of the things you mentioned about this recovery program is the men with men and women with women. I know for me, and I've not been through some of the stuff you've been through, but I know for me how important it is for my brothers in Christ to be around me, and what an encouragement it is when we share, with each other, um, you know, about what's going on in our lives. And it's just men sitting around. We have a men's breakfast at our church. And I know for me, that is one of the most important things for me to be a part of, because, we can just come together as men of God and help each other out, and just help lift each other up. And I'm sure that's probably some of the same stuff that goes on with y'all.
Absolutely. Well, it's biblical, Jason. Iron sharpens iron, just like one man sharpens another, and it's absolutely the truth. That's exactly what happens, and it's just it's been a good thing for me. And like I was saying, my relationship with Christ was kind of rocky when I started. It's never been stronger, and I got my faith back, seeing the miracles through God at Celebrate Recovery, and it's just it's been amazing.
Well, if nobody gets anything else out of this podcast, I hope they listen to your story and see where you were at, and at that lowest point of your life, seeing where you were at and seeing where you're at today. Like I said when we started this, your picture of you and your dogs are on the cover of a magazine that, I know as growing up, it was a magazine I look forward to getting whenever they come out, to look through the different coon hunting stuff that was there. I've ordered stuff from Nite Lite. So from going to that to where you are today, I'd say you definitely on the right path, and headed in the right direction.
Well, thank you so much.
So you also, besides getting your picture on the front of the magazine, you also won the NKC World Hunt. So let's tell us what dog you're hunting in this hunt, and let's kind of talk about that cast.
Okay. Well, to talk about that hunt, I got to back up just a little bit because I owned the dog that I won with, sire and dam. So in 2011, my buddy was hunting in a cast and he got beat. And he said, "Man, I got beat by a pretty nice young dog." And it just happened to be an English dog. And at this time, I was just handling for Preston. Didn't have my own dog. So I was like, "What dog?" And he showed me the dog. And I was like, "Man, that's a beautiful dog." His name was Jesse, Outlaw Jesse James. And he was a grandson to Swamp Brister. Well, I had to have him. So I worked out a deal. I ended up buying him. I actually had to go get a loan and, paid pretty good money for him. I bought him, and he was a decent young dog. He was not there yet, but he had a lot of potential, and I hunted him hard, and I ended up night championing him and grand show championing him, and he had a lot of the traits that I liked. So he was a cold nosed dog, could tree layups. If a coon wasn't moving, he was still going to show you coons, and that's what I liked about him. Because down here in Arkansas, sometimes when coons don't move, when it's real cold, you need a dog to tree layups, and he would do it. And matter of fact, one year we was at the refuge, and we seen some people coming out and said, "We trained 3 coons, we've been hunting 5 hours." And I went in there behind him and treated 11 coons with this dog, and not a single one of them coons had been on the ground. So I wanted that, that trait, in my future dog. So I ended up buying a female at a Outback Dan, and a dog named Baker's White Trash. Her name was Snow. And I ended up bringing her. I had a litter before her. I had a Grand Night dog named Brooks. I can't remember his whole name. His name was Jabber. He was out of off Water Creek, Roscoe, and them puppies at 7 months old were trained coons. So I bred the Snow that I bred to Jabber, bred her to Jesse, and she had 11 pups, and there's the prettiest pups I've ever seen. And about this time, I had got married, and I went through a bad divorce. And about the only asset I had at the time was Jesse. I done sold Jabber, sold him for a lot of money, but I had Jesse, and sold Jesse to a guy in Louisiana for $2,000. And this is another God thing, Jason. So I sold Jesse, and when I sold Jesse, the guy's dad drove up from Louisiana to buy him. I met him at a Walmart parking lot. And I was crying so bad when I sold this dog, I couldn't even sign the papers. And he said, son, I'll go back to Louisiana without your dog. He said, I could tell you don't want to sell this dog. And I told him, I said, sir, it's not that I want to sell my dog. I need that money, because I have bills to pay and whatever. So I tell Jesse and message the guy about every other week about Jesse, how he's doing. And my phone rings 2 o'clock in the morning. And I saw it was that guy's number. And I thought he either got hit by a car or got ate by an alligator. You don't want to answer it. And I answer it. And he goes, hey, Jarrod. He goes, you ain't going to believe this, but I was walking into the tree tonight, and God told me that you need this dog back. I said, what? He goes, well, that's not the crazy part. He said, I told my dad, and my dad said I was crazy. And the second tree we made, he said, you're going to give this guy his dog back. I said, and the guy's name was Scott. I said, Scott, I can't buy him back. I sold that money before your dad, got back to Louisiana. And he said, no, I'm not trying to sell you your dog back. I'm trying to give you your dog back. Come get your dog. Dude, I lost it. So we loaded up, and a couple of days later, I went down there. I don't remember where in Louisiana he was, but it took us 7 hours to get there. So he's pretty far down in there. That's how I got Jesse back. And I'm glad I did, because the second cross I made on snow with Jesse is where Copper came from. And there's 3 or 4 Grand Nite dogs out of the snow crosses, the 2 crosses. Can't buy any. I'm trying to buy another one right now. People won't put prices on them because I like them. But so I had Copper, was born. I gave her to a guy in Fordyce named Jay Lash. And I don't know if everybody does this, but whenever I have a good litter of puppies that I think will make something, I'll give them to coon hunters. If I know they're going to get coon hunted, I'll give them puppies and in hopes that they'll make them, into a dog. So that's what I did with Jay. He's a real coon hunter, so I gave him Copper. And about a year and a half later, well, she started at 9 months, 7 or 9 months old. He started sending me videos of her, and I'm like, man, she's pretty nice. And I finally got to hunt with her when she was about a year and a half old, and she looked good. Big, ball mouth on track, hard tree dog. She was still young, she was still, working through young stuff. But I was like, well, sell me that dog. He's like, no, she ain't for sale. So at the time, I kind of wasn't doing a lot of coon hunting. I ended up getting into showing and raising ABC American bullies. So coon hunting wasn't on the forefront of my mind, showing these bullies was, but I'd always wanted to have a good dog out of my dogs. So I kind of kept up with Copper and rocked on there. I got a son off Jesse that I really liked, and I was hunting him. And people, they go through dogs. I was going through dogs, some good, some not. But I went hunting with Jay. I guess it would have been 2000, around a little after Christmas. It was cold, and Copper put on a clinic, and I decided right then I wanted to buy this dog. And he was adamant he wasn't going to sell her. And I don't want to say that I harassed this guy, but I probably harassed him about selling me this dog. And finally, I sent him a message and said, hey, I don't know if you woke up thinking about this, but I woke up thinking today was the day you're going to sell me your dog. And he sent me back a message, and I'll think about it. And that was the first time he ever kind of acted like he might would sell her. So he finally called me later that day, and we worked out a deal. We co-own her. I bought half of her, and I got her and went to hunting her. And, she's nice. She likes to tree coon. She's a lot like her daddy with her mama's tree power. She could tree layups, hot coons, cold coons. She accurate. And I put a couple of UKC wins on her early in the year, and then the NKC World Hunt was coming up, and they normally have it, I think, in Indiana or Illinois, but for some reason they were going to have it in Arkansas that year, so I was going to go. And I thought she was ready, and I took her. And the thing about the NKC World Hunt is you can hunt hounds or curs in it. And I never hunted with a cur dog. I've done all this coon hunting over all these years. I've never been in the woods with a cur dog. And let me tell you something, they're coon little treeing machines. They don't bark a bunch on the ground, but when they bark, they're about to tree. So when you hear a cur dog bark on you, you're about to go look at a tree. And so we get there, and it's in February. It's at a wildlife management area that gets hunted over pretty good. So your dogs really got to hustle to find a coon. But the first night I was there, there's quite a few dogs there, and first night is a 2-night hunt. I drew out with it was me with Copper and two, I guess they're original mountain curs. That was Black and Brindle. But man, we had a good hunt. I think we ended up treeing 3 coons. I didn't win my cast. I lost by a quarter, I believe. And but it's like these little cur dogs are nice, and that was a 2-hour hunt, 2-hour cast. Well, I decided to go back the next night because they was going to hunt. The finals was going to be the top 4 dogs of the Friday night hunt and then the Saturday night hunt. Well, there wasn't very many dogs that had a very high score Friday night because it was so cold and coons weren't moving real good. So I decided to go back. I might could get in, and went back Saturday, and I ended up drawing a dog that I'd hunted with before. As a matter of fact, my first round cast was a cur dog named Rig, and then the dog that won the state championship, PKC state championship in Arkansas, named Crockett. Super coon dog. His owner, Blake Dale, super good guy. So I knew I had a pretty tough cast. Just hope the coons were moving. So we turn loose, and Copper gets first strike, and she kind of boo-hooing around in there. And she normally don't stay in one place for very long, but this night she kind of walled her track out for about 20 minutes, and I was getting kind of mad because I figured Crockett was going to slam a coon on me somewhere. And, it's kind of hard to catch up once you get behind, especially with dogs that don't make a lot of mistakes. And the rig dog went in there and treed finally, and on the way to him, she come by, and I took minus on the track. The rig dog was slick. We turned loose again, and Copper fired off in there. She got 700 yards and opened up. And I've hunted with Copper enough to know what kind of track she's running. She's running a pretty hot track. I figured we was going to see that coon. And she comes slam treed, and I think there's 13 minutes left in the hunt. So we head over there to her, and Blake Dell says, "Here, I got the coon." Had the coon, so that put me on the plus side. And there's, I think, 3 minutes left in the hunt. And that rig dog treed again. And even if he had a coon, he couldn't have beat me because he had took minus on his first tree. And so I won my first round. And I was like, well, let's go back and see what kind of score, if it will place me. And we get back and get to looking, and it put me in the top 4, that one cast win from that one night. And so at this point, Jason, I'll be honest with you, I was just happy to be in the final cast of a world hunt. I thought I had a good chance of winning, but if I didn't, I was still happy. And so we went out, and it was about, I don't know, 12:45 when we got to the woods, and frosty, cold, still. We turned loose. It's me, a dog named Slim, who had won the cast the night before, and he's a nice dog. He treated 2 coons that first night. And his owner, D. Powell, is one of the nicest guys you'll hunt with. And I really enjoyed hunting with him and look forward to hunting with him again soon. But we turn loose, and Copper strikes first. She works a bad track, kind of right-handed, and then goes left-handed. And it's not a very good track. And she comes treating, I tree her, and I think she's about 500, and we go to her, and I'm walking up. We have to walk up this little hill. And just walking up, I glance the tree, and there ain't a leaf on this tree. So it's either going to be yay or day. And we get there, and I shine this tree, and there ain't a coon in this tree. And Blake said, well, here's a hole, and there's a hole about the size of a pumpkin, about 10 feet up. And it goes all the way up, and then the hole curves over up into a branch. You can't see up into that branch. So I got lucky and took circle there. First, in NKC, it's first strike's 100, first tree's 100. So I had 200 circle there. Blake strikes his dog in there deep, and he works out of hearing before we actually walk to my dog. So we call timeout with about, I think there might have been 20 minutes left to hunt. The final cast was 1 hour. And so I'm sitting at 200, and both the other guys have 200 circle I got. We go in there, and we drive around to a different spot and turn loose, and Copper goes in there and strikes. in a, she works this track, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 minutes. And I tree her. You got to wait 5 in NKC for the tree to be closed. So we're walking to her. When we start walking to her, there's only 1.5 minutes left in the hunt. The other 2 dogs still ain't barked. And there was a non-hunting judge. He goes, time, hunt's over. And we walk in there to copper. And when she's really, really fired up, if you tie her up with a leash, she'll chew through the leash. So I had to find a tree where I could hang the leash up into the tree where she couldn't get to the cloth part. And as soon as I did that, I turned around and looked, and Coon was sitting in the first fork, and I had just won the NKC World Hunt with a dog that I, had owned both her parents and was bred at my house. And that was, to me, was kind of the highlight, because I see a lot of her parents in her, and her parents. Jesse was one of the 3 dogs I said I've had died at my house. Jesse died at my house, and he's buried here, and I see a lot of him in her, and that's how I won the NKC World Hunt. And it was an awesome truck ride back, knowing what I just accomplished with a hound that I had bred, and I won some cool prizes. And up to that point, that's probably the biggest achievement in competition hunting that I've had. So that's how I won the NKC World Hunt.
Yeah, and to win any world hunt, whether it's NKC, UKC, PKC, I mean, what an accomplishment to do. I mean, there's a lot of people strive to win certain hunts, and I'm still just trying to get to a final cast in a world hunt and get through zones or whatever. So, hey, congratulations on the win. That's a big accomplishment in any registry that we hunt in.
I appreciate that.
So, how did the picture come about on the magazine? We've mentioned it a few times. Tell us a little bit of the relationship you have with Nite Lite.
Are you tired of whipping, scolding, and shocking to make them get alone? Is your buddy tired of helping you set your dog up for correction night after night? Do you really want your dog to be alone because you forced him to be? Or would you rather him be alone because he wants to be? Grand Night Champion Small Town Lone Survivor is the product of over 25 years of strong natural-born independent traits. This bold trait has been passed down from generation to generation and is showing up in loner offspring today. Loner is a direct son of Hall of Fame Grand Night Champion Cabin Creek Rowdy and Grand Night Champion Lonesome Dove Lori. Loner has a booming mouth that is talked about in every cast he has been in, including the 2021 World Hunt Finals. Loner is a no-reverse, ball-mouth open trailer who ends it plussed up with a huge dying locate and steady chop. Loner loves getting split and is a stay-put gun-pressure tree dog. Loner's intelligence is also impressive. He knows over 12 voice and hand signal commands. Loner has a character that loves like Jesus, but he doesn't walk on water. If you're interested in breeding to Loner, contact Brett Stevens at Small Town English Kennels at 417-300-3777 or find him on Facebook.
If you're interested in running a stud ad for your dog here on the Coonhound Collective podcast, reach out to us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Send us a message through Facebook or Instagram, and we'll be glad to get with you to get you an ad built and get you pricing on all of our ads.
Okay. It really was just a social media thing. I seen them post huntsmart.com, Facebook page, posted, send us your pictures if you want your dog posted. So I sent them a couple pictures. I like to take videos and pictures of my dogs when I'm coon hunting. So I sent them a couple pictures, and they reached out to me, and they're like, says here that you're in Sheridan or something to that effect. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay. Nite Lite is an Arkansas-based company. They're based out of Clarksville. Their main office is in Little Rock. So he said, can I contact you? And I said, sure. So they called, and we got to talking, and they wanted me to try out some of their gear, so they got me some gear, and I hunted with their gear and checked it out and liked it, and they wanted to know if I could get anybody together for a photo shoot. And so yeah, I could get, I know a lot of people in a lot of places. I said, absolutely. So let's see, we did the photo shoot. It was just started to get hot, but anyway, all this time goes by from when we decided we're going to do the photo shoot to finally doing the photo shoot. And my contact had always told me that he wanted a picture of a hunter with 2 dogs on one leash. And I was like, that is no problem. I mean, I could make that happen for you. And that's what we did. And we went and did the photo shoot down here at a state park. And about 3 days later, I messaged him. I said, hey, did you get the shot? He goes, oh, yeah, you're going to be happy. And he sent me kind of a rough edited version of it. I was like, that's a good picture. And he goes, you're going to be on the cover of our Christmas special in a catalog. I was like, excellent. So that's how I got on the cover of Nite Lite. And I guess I've been dealing with them, their brand ambassador for about a year now, and they've been really good to me. They're a good company. They came and took pictures and sponsored the Arkansas State Youth Hunt this year. Got a lot of pictures of the kids and the dogs, and they just have been an awesome company and really believe in the sport and, hounds and wildlife.
Yeah, well, and I wanted you to kind of mention them because they are a product that has been around for quite some time now, and I know that you had done some stuff with them, so I definitely wanted to give them a little shout out here.
Yes, sir. They've been really good to me, and I kind of asked for better people to work alongside.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Jarrod, I know it's hard to believe, but we've been at it almost an hour. Look, by the time we get my intro put in here, it will be over an hour.
Well, my wife does tell me I like to talk.
Well, mine does too. She knows when it comes to talking hounds, it can be a long-winded conversation, for sure. We covered a lot of ground here in a short period of time. If there's nothing that you think we missed or need to add, I think we're to a point we can shut it down unless you think there's something that we missed and we need to add in there.
Well, normally you ask if there's a coon hunting story you want to tell, and I done thought of one or two that I think is they're kind of funny. That might get somebody to crack up.
Well, lay it on us. We always love a good coon hunting story around here for sure.
Well, they weren't too good for me. So I got 2 of them. A couple years ago, me and my wife, she don't hunt with me much now, but we went to the refuge, and it was the first time I'd ever had an alpha in my hand. She wanted to hold the Garmin. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So we're out there, and we done treed 2 or 3 coons, and Jesse, my foundation male, he was naturally straight, so he don't run no off game, but I hear him out there squealing, and he's coming right to me. I was like, turn your light off. That dog's running a deer. I think he's about to catch it, and he comes and jumps in my lap. I'm sitting on a log. I said, uh-oh, what were you doing? She goes, I'm pushing this button right, and she hit it, and it lit him up. I was like, man, you done ruined my dog. And poor Jesse, he went to hunt for the next 2 or 3 drops, and I finally had to load him up, and I took the Garmin away from my wife, loaded him up, and turned him loose down the road, and he got her back. He went 0.97 miles through knee-deep water and treed a slick persimmon tree, and she had to walk to him, so he kind of got her back. That was one story that kind of, felt bad from a dog, but it's kind of funny to look back on.
Well, and, before you tell your second one, I've got to tell a story on myself here. When I was in high school, I got a Tritronics trash breaker shock system. First time I've ever had one in my hands, and it wasn't even mine. I was just borrowing it from a guy to try to break a dog off a deer, and I had the collar on the dog, and I didn't think anything about it. That controller's round. I just stuck it in my back pocket, and my dogs don't bark in the box, and I got in the truck and started down the road, and I guess I adjusted just right, and all of a sudden this dog sounds like he's about to tear the dog box apart, and I get out of the truck and he stops. I get back in the truck and he starts back. I stop and get out of the truck and he stops again. Well, couldn't find out every time I jumped in the truck, I was sitting on the button, and I learned real quick not to put that controller in my back pocket.
Oh my gosh. I did the same thing with my Alpha. I got a hunting pouch, and if I leaned against my truck, it will hit the shock button. So whenever I'm hunting, it's actually turned down all the way on one now, so I don't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But my second story, never been scared coon hunting, but this night I got scared, not from what was in the woods because I thought I was going to die. Me and my buddy, it was, I guess, summer 21 is in July. We got a wildlife management area over here in Arkansas called Biomeda, and we decided to go over there and hunt around July 6th or 7th because my wife have a lake house, and she goes to the lake house. I don't like the lake, so I just said I was going to go coon hunt over there when she was gone. So it's somewhere around beginning of July, and I'm hunting copper. I got a young dog I had named Karma, and my buddy David was hunting his little walker dog Briar, and Karma and Briar were both young, and every now and again they'd run something they weren't supposed to. So I put my shot collar on Briar, and just put my T5 on Copper, she's tone trained, but I didn't have the tone thing on her. But anyways, turn loose, and Copper goes in there and she trees. Copper and Karma goes in there almost a mile on trees, and I don't know why I only had one bottle of water, but I had one bottle of water, and I drank it all before we could get to halfway to Karma. She quits, and I'm hot. That hot where you got a deep breath type hot, and it's still ain't enough. I'm that kind of hot. And we get to Copper's tree, and she has a coon tree, and my buddy says, Bud, he goes, it's too hot to be doing this. I don't feel too good. I was like, I don't feel too good either. Let's leave. So we walk out to a power line, and I know it's impossible for it to be uphill, all the way, but I swear this power line was uphill the whole way. It's muddy and that real bogged down mud, and my heart's going kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And all I could tell my buddy Dave was, Bud, I ain't doing so good. I finally laid down in the power line, and I told David, I said, keep an eye on Copper. I didn't have her on a leash. And so she was sitting there, and I was laying down, and I was laying there thinking, if there's any way I could get rescued, I sure wish it would be right now, because I was hot, and I was having the wah-wahs, and there for a little bit I thought I might die. But anyways, so we're laying there, and I hear this dog opens up in there. He goes, hey, bud, somebody's in here. Maybe they could give us some water. I was like, no, dude, that's Copper. So he said, I can't go get her. So I went in there 600 yards and got her, and ended up having to walk out that same power line that about killed me the first go around. And when we got back to the truck, we just put our stuff back in the truck. And it was probably 15 minutes before either one of us spoke. And then I said, not again, bud. I'm not hunting over here again in the summertime.
Yeah.
So anyways, my wife made me a shirt. It's kind of funny. I'm laying down, and it's got the caption, I ain't doing so good on it.
Yeah. Well, I've, hunting here where I hunt in Missouri up and down these hills, there's been a few of them that I thought, man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the top of this joker to get to the dogs, especially in the summertime for sure. You can get too hot too quick, for sure, especially in deep mud or real hilly terrain.
Yeah, it could happen in a hurry. And one more thing, Jason, I didn't mention, but I would like to say, take a kid hunting. We got a lot of kids around here that go hunting, and we like to get them in the woods. And don't look at them as an inconvenience. Look at them as their future. Load them up, take them hunting, put a good dog at the end of the lead, put some, I got 6 or 7 coon lights. I always put, give them a good coon light to take, and it changes these kids' lives. And I know I got my start like that, being mentored, by Clifton, and just anybody in your area. If you hear about a kid wanting to go hunting, go get them and take them hunting. It's a feature of our sport, and we definitely need them in there. So that's another thing I'd like to mention.
Well, I don't think I could have ended it any better way than that, because that is the future of our sport. And if you have an opportunity to take a young person hunting, definitely jump on that and take them hunting. We've been at it a little over an hour. If you don't have anything else, I think that's a good spot to land it here, and maybe we can get together at English Days or at some hunt down the road here in the near future, and I can meet you in person and shake your hand.
I sure would like that, Jason. I'll be at English Days Wednesday through Sunday this year, so find me and let's get in the woods sometime.
All right, buddy, that sounds good, and we'll end it here. Thank y'all for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at the Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.